I'm Anne Marie Pike, and I am your host for today's Second Act Living podcast. This is a place where people in the second act of their life can come together to encourage, talk, laugh about everything that this stage of life has to throw at you. So please help me welcome today's guest, Kelly Cannings. Kelly is a certified marriage and family coach with a special heart for women navigating midlife and chronic health challenges. After co-leading a successful e-learning company for over 16 years, she and her husband recently transitioned into full-time coaching, helping couples and families build strong, faith-centered relationships. Married for 28 years with 5 young adult daughters and a fabulous son-in-law, Kelly brings a wealth of real-life experience to her work, balancing parenting, career shifts, health struggles, and the unique transitions of midlife. So to learn more, please visit builttolastmarriage.com. So thank you so much, Kelly, for coming on the show.
Thank you, Anne Marie. It's so nice to be here.
So it's actually kind of funny how we know each other. We know each other through her husband. I took a class with her husband, Craig, and he made introductions, and it's been great. And actually, it's funny. I was thinking about this the other day. I really wish we lived closer because I feel like we would be friends. I feel like it would be a very fun, easy friendship. We have a lot in common, and yeah, I just really enjoyed getting to know you.
I fully agree. I've thought often, man, it'd be really nice if Anne Marie is close. I'm sure we could go for a walk, go grab a coffee, something. I totally agree.
Yes. Okay, great. So,
Mm-hmm.
how we start is we just jump into some rapid fire questions.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah. I feel great. Sweating a little bit, but great. No, I'm just kidding.
Um, when going on a date with your hubby, do you choose romantic candlelit dinner or Netflix and pizza?
Ooh, I'd say we lean towards Netflix and pizza, but we're trying to grow in that area and venture out a little, more into the romantic area.
Do you have a show you guys like to watch together?
Oh, you know what? We're true crime kind
Okay.
of fanatics. So we like a good dateline on a Friday night.
Yeah, sometimes when I watch it, Austin's like, my husband is like,
Mhm.
should I be worried that you like me?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yes, we've had a few of those moments where we kind of question, I'm not sure if we should be watching this, but
um, when going on a trip, do you pack your whole closet or travel light?
travel light, definitely.
Yeah, you're kind
Yes, yes.
of traveling, so I'm yeah,
Yes, we do a lot of traveling, so we've gotten it down to a very small carry-on bag.
good. It's good.
Mhm.
Where are you finding your joy in midlife?
Oh, I would say my joy comes from just phone calls with our daughters. Honestly, that is just in the day, we'll be going about our day and then we get a phone call and just to touch base with them, connect with them, hear how their day is going. That really brings joy to my day.
What has been your favorite vacation?
My favorite vacation, I would say, is on the lake. When we can have a family vacation out on a lake at a cabin, very few distractions, just family time, board games, swims in the lake, just real restful. I'd say that's our favorite vacation.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What is your bucket list vacation?
I would say Italy right now. That is, I don't know, many people we know have traveled to Italy. It just looks fantastic. The food, the people, the history. So that's something that's on the bucket list. It's kind of in the works for maybe a graduation, everybody happy graduation trip down the road in the next few years.
Yeah, last year my husband turned 50 and my daughter graduated. So I was like, what do you want to do? And he wanted to go to Europe. So we did
Oh,
a cruise, a Mediterranean cruise, but the majority of
okay.
Italy. And if you ever get a chance to go, it is one of my favorite places. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, that's what we see. And we've considered the cruise, but we're just not certain if we do the cruise or we just plunk ourselves in Italy and see, 3 or 4 places. So yeah, I think that's definitely top of the list right now.
What is one new skill or hobby you have always wanted to learn?
I have always wanted to learn the violin and it's going to be painful. I know for like everyone around me, but I have always wanted to play the violin. I don't, ever since I was younger.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
That is the first one. I've gotten guitar, like I've gotten a piano,
Okay.
never the violin.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. Well, um, it's definitely challenging. Good luck with that.
Oh, it's challenging. So, I think it's going to be super humbling. I don't ooze with musical talent as is. So, it's going to be a struggle, but I'm determined to try that at one point.
That's awesome. So, what is one way you stay connected with your kids?
Oh, just super simple is we have a family group chat, and that has been life changing, honestly, for all of us, just because we've really made it. We called it the greatest family, just to be like to remind everyone how wonderful their family is, and just to dump in things that are going on throughout your day. Like we love to see just little snippets of what's happening, so that we can all kind of join in. And we really use it as a time to celebrate like certain things in somebody's day. So I would say honestly, that's now with our kids spread all over multiple countries. That's the best way that we stay connected.
Awesome. So, what
Mm-hmm.
is your go-to stress reliever?
Oh, well, probably candy is my go-to stress reliever, but it's not a healthy one. you know?
Reliever, I said stress reliever.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for like candy. Isn't that it's just I don't know what it is. I'm not really like I don't have like a ice cream or chips or anything like that. It is like straight up like like fun dips when we were kids. Like if I could get my hands on a fun dip, like that would just be like fabulous. So it's just crazy. Yeah. So that's my go-to stress reliever is a good bag of candy.
So it's it's candy.
No, it's candy. I mean, goodness, if someone offers me chocolate, I'm happy to take that. But it's candy, like full out, nothing but sugar. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if this applies. So if it doesn't, you don't have to answer. What
Okay.
is hot flashes or forgetting why you walked into a room?
No, you know what? I'm just venturing into that, right now. And I would say I've had the moments of forgetting, where I walk in and I'm literally standing there like, what in the world? Like I came in here just 5 seconds ago, I knew what I was coming in here for. So yes, that's definitely starting to be an issue for me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What is one piece of advice you would give your 20 something self?
My 20 something self is keep your eyes forward. Don't compare to anybody around you. God has you and has a purpose for you, and it's going to look different than everybody around you. So I would say, honestly, keep your eyes forward. Don't get caught up in what everybody else is doing, not doing, something like that.
Good. Yeah, that's good.
Mm.
I think I need that advice now too.
I think so too. That would be something that would just come through my 20s, 30s, 40s, and now into my 50s.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um, so in talking through in our pre-interview,
Mm-hmm.
you just have a very unique story that I think is so important to tell and so
Mm-hmm.
relevant to to my listeners. So I'm so thankful that you're willing to share your story. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so why don't we just jump in with, um, you struggle with chronic health issues
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
decades now.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Long time.
so
Mm-hmm.
when did you first notice that something was off with your health?
Mm-hmm. So it was about 18 months after we had had our third baby. And the crazy thing was at that time, it was about 18 months after. So I had three uh, girls under the age of 4 at the time. And, but I had gotten back after pregnancy and I had really committed myself to getting back into shape. So I was the fittest I probably had ever been. I was training. I had trained for a half marathon. I had just completed the half marathon, which, I'm not a runner. So that was a huge feat for me. And it was about 6 months after I had completed that half marathon that I woke up one day and I just felt so sick. Like I had just immense nausea, debilitating nausea, which was super rare because I just was not somebody who ever got sick. I don't really get colds. I mean, I don't think I'd ever had the flu really. And so that was really odd for me. So that was, I woke up, I was 30 years old and I just had immense nausea. And honestly, it was that day changed everything. And from that day forward, my health just plummeted.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So what were some of the symptoms? Like how did it show up day to day?
Yeah, so that day, nausea started. Honestly, it was June 7th, 2007, and the nausea never left. Like I have had nausea. That has been my predominant symptom since that day, and it continued. At that day, it continued nonstop. Did not go away for 2 years. And so that was my predominant symptom. Then others started to appear. Now, looking back, they definitely were starting to rear their ugly head even before that day. But I just didn't notice. You know, there were things here and there, but I had three young girls. I was busy. So just probably didn't pay enough attention. But after that, I started on top of the nausea. I had debilitating fatigue. The fatigue was just, you know, I felt like I had run a marathon every day. And it was, I would equate it to during pregnancy, that first trimester where you feel like you've run a marathon. I felt like that every day, you know, and then my hair started to fall out. I had rapid weight gain, which I had been an athlete, you know, my whole life up until that point. And besides pregnancy, I really hadn't had an issue with weight gain. So that was something that it was coming fast and furious. And major gastrointestinal issues, you know, my system just stopped functioning. And then the one symptom that now looking back was a really important one, but I didn't pay enough attention to it probably, was I had this feeling in my head of just immense pressure. I called it fuzzy head, but it was just my head was so full and painful. So that was kind of, so that, yeah, that kind of tops off the list, but it was really a full body just breakdown.
So what was the process of searching for answers? What did that look like?
Oh, you know, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I had never even been to the doctor besides pregnancy. Like, my doctor had really never even seen me besides me going in for my regular, you know, checkups and then delivering the babies. So I started to go back to my family doctor, and that's where I realized, whoa, this is going to be a bit more difficult than I thought it was going to be. You know, I faced a lot of doctors that were dismissive and kind of just, you know, explained my symptoms as you're a young mom, you know, you have three young ones, you're just tired. I was handed antidepressants multiple times or offered them, which at that time, that was something that I was pretty confident I wasn't dealing with, you know? So, yeah, so at that time, it really began a search for somebody who could help. And I mean, I was going anywhere locally. I then started to look elsewhere, and I ended up having to go overseas to really get some answers.
Really? Where,
Yeah.
where did you end up going?
Yeah. So my brother at the time and his family lived in Thailand. They ran an organization there, and he was visiting kind of about a year in after, you know, I had tried to see my own family doctor. I was on wait list to see specialists in Canada. I'm from Canada, and our system has just incredibly long wait times to see any sort of specialist. So, you know, here I am. I'm a year in, still sick, on wait list to see multiple specialists, yet not really knowing which specialist is going to be able to help or even what the problem is. So my brother was visiting at the time, and he said, listen, it's cheaper for you to get on a plane, come to Thailand. They have an amazing hospital in Bangkok called Bumrungrad. And I ended up doing that. I boarded a plane. I went back with him, and I spent 1 week at the hospital and saw every specialist I needed to see. Like literally, I saw six specialists in various areas. And I went through every test I needed to have in 1 week. And it was there that they ended up starting to pinpoint what the problem was and where the root of the issue was. And so then I just came back with all of that in, all the files, all the results. And it was then I still had to wait to see specialists here, but at least I knew who I needed to see. Was a priority of which specialist to see. So yeah, so I ended up going all the way overseas, kind of to get the results I needed to even move forward.
So when did you actually find out what was wrong, what was going on?
So that was in 2009. And this is the crazy thing, is that it all started with after delivering my third baby, my body must have had just a major autoimmune attack. Okay, now I know more of what possibly happened, but as a result of that, it was really my thyroid, which is a very simple standard thing that they typically check. But because mine was a bit different, it presented a bit different. It presented as an autoimmune issue. It wasn't until I did a thyroid ultrasound in Thailand and they saw that half my thyroid was kind of eaten away. And but as a result of that being a problem and no one finding it or diagnosing it, it just ended up affecting so many other systems, which led to even greater issues, about 2 years from down the road. So yeah, so in 2009 was when I really started to understand what had happened, but now it was starting to treat everything that it had affected in my body. Yeah.
So it primarily your thyroid shut down.
Yeah. Now we know more. It looks like now years later, I mean, this took me 15 years to kind of figure all this out, but it looks like from an epidural, I ended up suffering from a cerebral spinal leak from my epidural with my third. And when that happens, that's not good in the body, and the body begins to attack itself. And it wasn't found, right away. So yeah, it's been years of trying to figure out the root of it, what really happened, and then how to treat all the different systems it affected, because I went undiagnosed for a couple of years.
So the actual start point was you had a cerebral spinal leak from an epidural from your third delivery.
Yes.
That is actually what caused the storm that erupted.
And that's what they believe has happened. Yeah.
How many years between when you had your third baby and when they actually made the diagnosis?
Oh, you know what? So that was in 2007 this started, and it wasn't until 2015 that they actually found that I still had a CSF leak that needed to be patched, all the way back from my epidural. So yeah, it was years, between actually figuring out the root, which is why even when we started to treat all these different systems, the actual root of it had not been found or solved. So I still continued just to struggle immensely trying to get a handle on what's happening in my body. So it wasn't until they found the leak, they patched the leak, that I was able to finally have some reprieve in some areas. But lots had happened in those years. So
yeah. Wow. So what were some of the hardest moments for you in the search for answers?
Oh, going back, I would say one of the hardest things was dealing with doctors. Okay. Just dismissive. Like it was a struggle to get anybody to really take me seriously. And to the point, I remember my husband having to come in and, him stepping up and saying, listen, this is not typical of my wife, what she's experiencing, and please listen to her. And so that was a hard, to be honest, throughout all the years, just dealing with doctors and finding ones that you just felt like I needed a quarterback. I needed somebody that really was in my corner, had my best interest, believed me, and so
And
that was hard.
directing the plan.
Yes.
Yes.
Totally. Yeah. So that was what I would say that was incredibly difficult, that part. I mentioned just being in Canada, our wait time. So just, trying to be patient while being on these wait lists. Yet I would wait 6 months to get to an appointment and it would be, a nothing appointment. Nothing would come out of it. And so then we would start again, waiting again. So just the time that it took to even get anywhere, and then I would say just life kept going. In the midst of me feeling terrible, life kept going. We had 3 little ones. Work had to continue. All of that had to keep going. And so I just managing day-to-day life became really difficult for me.
And you had two more babies after that?
Yeah, so a little while later, after we started to find some answers, and I would say it was a time where I felt a bit more hopeful. We had always wanted more children. I knew though that just my own body wasn't going to be capable of doing that again. So we ended up adopting 2 girls and brought them into our family through adoption. They were 4.5 and 3. And that was in 2011. So, pretty quick after. So we were still in the midst of everything, but I really was hopeful that we were starting to move forward. To be honest, it was just the beginning of everything as well. And so that proved to be challenging in and of itself. Now we had 5 girls and we had entered the adoption journey, which is not for the faint of heart. And yep, there were lots of dynamics that came in with that as well. Mm-hmm.
So, what changes did you make in your life to accommodate this total health season shift?
Yeah, I had to adjust everything. It impacted every area of my life. So thankfully at the time, my husband and I worked together. We had a company and a business. So I was able to be a bit more flexible because, I was my own boss. But even just with work, and this continues to this day, is mornings are incredibly difficult for me. So I have to kind of shift everything into later morning, early afternoon, just to allow my body to wake up and get to a place where I can actually work. And so that's one area I really had to adjust work to now fit my limitations in what I could and couldn't do. Family responsibilities. My husband, Craig, became the primary caregiver, especially outside the home. Inside the home, we could manage, obviously, as a team. But outside the home, I could only do so much. Like there were times where I just couldn't go to activities or I couldn't be present at a family gathering or anything. So he really became the primary caregiver outside. When the girls needed to go anywhere, he was the one that would take them. Yeah. And then activities, even things I used to love to do. I was really athletic. I would play basketball, I would play volleyball, I would go do lots of different things. And I just couldn't do those activities anymore. So I had to adjust and find things that I still enjoyed, but really my body could manage the time. So I had to make lots of adjustments to just life.
And I wonder if you had to grieve loss, and then embrace what you can do, right? Discover, embrace what you can do. I'm sure there was a heavy grieving process in that. As you said, it was totally different. You had to become different, right?
Yeah, I would. The grieving process took years, honestly, and even still, there's times that I struggle with that, and I grieve kind of the life that I had, and that was a process. Yeah, I would say that took me a very long time to come to a place in truly grieving what I lost, and embracing though what I still could do, and life had just changed, and I was different. And but I was still capable of doing a lot of things, just what I had never thought I would do or what life would look like, right? So yeah, that was a process.
So living with chronic pain for years, decades now,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
how has that
mm-hmm.
affected your relationships?
Yeah, immensely. They've affected my relationship. So, when I think of that, I think kind of of two words. My relationships have been strained, but they've been strengthened.
Mm.
Okay. So kind of this tension between the two. So in some areas, when I first this started happening, there was so much uncertainty that, friendships, there were some friends that just simply didn't know what to do, in that place of not knowing what to do, they disappeared, or yeah, there was this distance. So those friendships were strained, while others, even though they may have not known what to do or understood what was happening, they kind of pressed in and they just continued to check in and just ask how I'm doing and what they can do to help. So friendships strained and strengthened both. My marriage, thankfully, this is one relationship that absolutely grew stronger. But I have seen the opposite as well with dear friends that I've walked this with, that their marriages were really strained in the process. And but my husband is phenomenal. He just, I knew he was when I married him. But when you face something like this, he stepped up and he just became my rock. And he has been the one that has never, ever doubted, anything that I've been feeling or I've expressed or anything. He's just been there, to do whatever he could to make this easier for me. So that's one that I look back, I'm just so thankful that that's a relationship that was strengthened. Yeah. So just lost, strained and strengthened in many different areas.
Defined by fire.
Yes. Yes.
By fire. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Had a conversation with someone the other day about marriage and midlife.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You we were talking about, when you're young and you take these vows, I don't know how much you actually think about what you're saying,
Oh.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Better
Mm-hmm.
sickness and in health, richer
Mm-hmm.
for poor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we actually really dive into too much of what that looks
Mm-hmm.
like. And probably you've never actually walked through something really challenging with your
Mm-hmm.
chosen spouse before, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Covenantal promise that
Mm-hmm.
you're taking with that person, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
promise. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, when you actually walk through for better, for worse, um,
Mm-hmm.
that's that's when those vows really come into play, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean, now to say those words, wow, those promises, they just mean, yeah, you're right. Just something totally different. I don't think I even had a clue what that meant, you know?
I can speak for myself. I had
Mm-hmm.
no idea what
No, no.
um you can say it and mean it, right? You
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but unless you walk through what those situations actually look like and produce,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um
Mm-hmm.
to say it now is so much richer and deeper.
Oh,
Uh,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so how was your emotional, mental health? How has that been affected? Like, how have you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were days of deep sadness, like we just talked about, kind of grieving the life that I had. So I definitely experienced those days where I was just sad, and then I would be immensely frustrated. Lots of those days, and I definitely had days of anger. Usually it came when I walked out of a doctor's office where I was just angry, angry that no one was listening, and but thankfully, I did not experience any, I would say, depression. I was very aware of that. I knew I had talked to a lot of people that were suffering from chronic illness or had walked that. And that was an area that I was very aware of, just to be constantly evaluating where I'm at, what I'm thinking. Yeah, just taking moments to acknowledge, okay, what was that thought? Where did that come from? And do I need to tell someone? I remember there were moments where, I definitely had some thoughts that went through my mind that I immediately told my husband. Said, you know what, I'm just feeling a bit off here. Just wanted to let you know kind of what's going on in my head, and yeah. So, but through that, my husband was a real support for me in that area. And because I was so aware of it and I knew that I had to protect it, I was very diligent about, I spent every day, every morning with Jesus. I honestly don't know how I would have made it through, because those days of deep sadness or anger, frustration could have easily turned into depression, bitterness, resentment. And I think every day I had to give those to Jesus and ask him to continue to protect my mind as I walked this. So yeah, and then I really did. I was vulnerable with my inner circle and asked them to pray for me. I had people praying for me, and I really do believe those two things: my time with Jesus consistently, and that I had other people praying for me, protected my mental and emotional health as I walked through all of the physical things that were happening to me.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds like you allowed yourself to feel all those feelings, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think that's where it's so important is
Mm-hmm.
we're completely justified to be mad and sad and angry and frustrated,
Mm-hmm.
all the other things,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we're made to be emotional beings and I feel like sometimes, especially in the church,
Mm-hmm.
we're not always allowed to be sad or mad or angry,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense to me because you read Lamentations, you read the Psalms,
Mm-hmm.
King David.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremiah's mad.
Mm-hmm.
He's mad at God,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
not
Mm-hmm.
shy about saying that. And David, like, how long will I suffer? How long? I
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's critical to
Yeah.
if he's the God he says he is, then then we just need to be able to do that without fear. So
Yeah.
yeah, let's
Absolutely. So important. I think that's one thing that I recognized early on, that it was okay to express those and to feel those. But it was being in check and making sure that it wasn't turning into, like I said, like bitterness and resentment, because I always wanted to keep moving forward, and those just keep you stuck, And so, yeah, definitely, absolutely imperative to express those and to feel those and express those and have somebody that you can feel safe enough just to let it out. Say, this is how I'm feeling. Yeah.
because I feel like it could be you could get stuck in the why me, right?
Oh, yes,
Lord, why me?
definitely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And to be honest, like, that's a question like I asked at times, what is this? Why is this happening? But you know what? Again, I always had a mindset of I want to keep moving forward. And so, you know what? I let it out and I said, I don't know. Let's keep going, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So in midlife, have
Mm-hmm.
all these symptoms and struggles for so long, what thriving in midlife look for you amidst chronic illness?
Oh, yes, thriving. So, one, I think recognizing that I have a purpose. Okay. Like, even amidst like the chronic illness, midlife, that God has a plan for me and God isn't done with me yet. Chronic illness doesn't disqualify me from God using me in different ways. And I really have to come back to that on the tough days. that I have a purpose, and it can simply be encouraging others, showing up for people. But there is value and meaning to my life, right? And it's not going to be, I'm not going to allow it to be limited by chronic illness. So that's, number one, just going back to that God has a purpose for me. You know,
Your sound went out. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can
It's
now.
all good?
Sound went out.
Oh, okay. Oh, weird.
Made a note so I know to go back to edit that part. Sorry.
It's okay. I'll go to Grace. Thriving? Yes, thriving. So yes, thriving in midlife is having grace for myself. Okay. This is a season that I need to let go of perfection and unrealistic expectations. Some days it's just showing up, and that's okay. And so continuing to have grace for myself, also having grace for others. This has been a journey that's through chronic illness that even if others don't understand my journey, it's just having grace for others. And that again keeps me kind of from spiraling into guilt or resentment or any of those feelings. So yeah, grace for myself. Thriving, probably another one in midlife is, especially this season, is kind of redefining success. Okay, so when you get to this season of life, I think I had a vision of what it would be like, what I would have accomplished. Even I think at this stage of life, some people think women should have it all together. We should have it all together by now. Goodness, we're almost 50 or we're in our 50s. And chronic illness has shifted that for me and in how I define success. And it's no longer about kind of achievement or productivity. It's about presence and peace. And I think if I can, especially in this season when so many things are changing anyways, with our families and our marriage and our careers and everything, if I can focus on being present and there being peace, in my relationships, in myself, and that's success for me. So really redefining. That's what I see as thriving in midlife for me right now.
That's so good. Redefining. And then it makes you circle back of what's really important. What are my
Oh, yeah.
What do I want my marriage to look like? What do I want my family to look like? It's allowing that space to do that. Important.
Yeah. Yeah. It's in this season of life, you spend a lot of time thinking about that. What's really important to me? And sometimes the answer is surprising, that what you thought was going to be important at this time really isn't as important anymore. So
that's why I like to throw that question in of what would you tell your 20-something self? Because I feel like what I thought was important and valuable and what I wanted in my 20s, it's just through experience and relationships and just wisdom and growth, it's changed so much for the better, right? That's okay. It's okay to change. To change. Yeah, no, that's
yeah.
So what have you had to let go of to find peace? You said peace and presence. So what have you had to let go of to find that peace?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's because that's really what it is. If you redefine success and now it looks different, okay, what are those things that I have to let go of? And like I said, I would tell my 20-something self, just keep your eyes forward, and what God has for you. And so in a sense, I had to let go of expectations. Okay, I had a picture of what I thought life would be like when I reached 50. and what midlife would look like, and the energy I would have, the freedom I would feel, the money that would be in my bank account, all of the career that I would have. And so I just had to release that picture and those expectations and keep looking forward, not looking around and comparing to where everybody else might be in their season of life, right? Yeah. And
Like, what, comparison is the thief of joy.
oh, absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah, so expectations are a huge one. Others' opinions I've had to let go of. Walking this journey of chronic illness, there will be a lot of opinions, sent your way, a lot, or just silence, which in and of itself is an opinion, And yeah, I've really had to let go of if people, whatever they understood chronic illness to be, especially when it's invisible, right? When it's like the invisible wheelchair, I can look okay on the outside and there'd just be a battle going on the inside. And so I've just had to let that go of what I think other people may be thinking or what they may have expressed, right? I just kind of got to let it go. Yeah. To find peace.
I never thought of it that way, the invisible illness. Yeah, it's
Yeah. Yeah.
not like you're in a wheelchair, it's that, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Almost like consistently reassuring yourself that no, these are real. It's
Yeah.
real, regardless of how I look on the outside or how people perceive. And part of it, like you said earlier, life goes on, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Goes on. You have to figure out how to manage life and everything that comes with it amidst the illness. So yeah, that's interesting about the ability of it, because I think that might almost be harder. Because if you're careful, you have to consistently convince everyone around you, like, no, I really do feel X, Y, and Z, and no, I really, yeah, that's a whole.
Well, and that's exhausting in itself, right? In trying to convince everybody else that how awful you feel, And so I've really had to let that go. That what? Because I get the comment time and time again, and people mean well, but they'll say, with the understanding that they know I don't feel well all the time, but they'll say, what, you look fantastic though. And I'll say, and you know what? They're meaning it really as a compliment, right? But that's the invisible battle. It's like, yeah, I get that. I understand that I can look healthy on the outside, but it's tough. Yeah. And so letting go of having to explain that and having to kind of feel like you have to share, exactly what's going on the inside. It's okay. That's okay. I just smile and I appreciate it and say thank you.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
otherwise it would be so exhausting.
Oh,
And that's where you learn through experience that um where to pick and choose those relationships, where to pick and choose that and
totally.
vulnerability of sharing your struggle. Yeah. Sometimes you just be like, thanks.
Yeah, exactly. Just smile, you appreciate it, and leave it at that.
Like developing those boundaries of who's safe and who's not, and then
Yeah. Yeah.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So what advice or encouragement would you give other women who are struggling with chronic illness in this stage?
Yeah, so I mentioned the big one. I would say have grace for yourself. Have grace. You're doing the best you can with what you've been given, right? And let go of that harsh inner critic. That just speak to yourself the way that you would speak to a dear friend. And you would never say some things to that dear friend that you say to yourself, inside. And so you need to have grace for yourself and yeah, and just speak kindly to yourself. You know what? You've faced a battle, you're doing the best that you can, and yeah, the second one, I think we've talked about this, or you mentioned it before, is to start a gratitude journal. That was huge for me Okay. Because in the midst of so much going on and, just negativity, I really do believe gratitude is one of the fiercest weapons against hopelessness, negativity, pessimism, like all of that, right? So that was so helpful. I've done that ever since this started. Every day, three things I'm thankful for, even if it's the smallest thing. I mean, I don't know how many times I've put my coffee, my coffee is I'm thankful for every day. And so writing those things down, that daily practice just rewires your mindset, I believe, shifts your focus, gets it off yourself, and invites that peace into kind of the middle of the pain. And so that is definitely something I would recommend to anybody who's walking a chronic illness journey. And probably the other really important one that was for me was you need community. You need community. Everything in you is going to want to retreat. I know, I've been there, I've done it. It's just, you start to think, I just retreat. It's safer in my house. But you need community. You need people to walk alongside you. And there are people who will get it. So find those people, whether it's online, whether it's in person, find the people that have walked a similar journey and who understand. Or those dear friends or family members who maybe don't understand everything, but they are a safe place just to be vulnerable, right? You need those people. And sometimes I just found the most healing that happened within me is just when I was seen or heard from somebody. That's it. Just see me, hear me, what I'm experiencing. And in that, just healing started to happen. So,
Yeah, I mean, and that's cool, right? Because unless you have actually walked through something this similar, you can't know, right?
Yeah.
With someone in their pain, even when you don't know what to say and you don't know what to do. There is nothing that they can say that's going to make you feel better, right? But it's their care, it's being seen, it's being heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes that's just all it takes, that you're not alone, that you're not in a, that they believe you, and you can show up mad, and you can show up
yeah
and it's okay, and it's safe.
Yeah. It's so true. Yeah. And I think, specifically in midlife, like this season, I think it's really important for anybody kind of walking a chronic illness journey and hitting midlife is focus on what you can do in midlife. There is a lot that I can do. Yes, there are things that I've had to put to the side, or dreams or goals that have had to be reshaped. But there's a ton that I can still do. And so focus on that in midlife. This is an exciting season of transition and change. It may be a different life than you envisioned, but it can be a great life. And so embrace what you can do right now in midlife.
Wow. Celebrate and embrace what you can do, right?
Yeah,
never
absolutely.
Who's going to lead that, right? You just never. It's about resting in his goodness and sovereignty, and being unity. I wholeheartedly being I don't know how people get through things without community. I don't know how they do it. And we are created to live in community.
Absolutely.
So that's beautiful. Well, thank you so much for sharing some vulnerable, a beautiful story. And I just really thankful that you're willing to share it.
Yeah, no, this was, thank you for inviting me. I have not shared this in really my story in this way. I think because I've spent years trying to figure it out, myself. So I just really pray and believe that somebody listening, who's walking this journey, I see you, I hear you, and you're not alone, right? There are people who understand. I'm one of them. So thank you for just a place to share.
I really appreciate it.